All right, let's dive in. Today, we're looking at Pakka Ltd. The company making those sustainable packaging solutions.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're making some pretty big waves in that sector.
Right.
So they just dropped their Q2 results for fiscal year 2025, and we've got a whole bunch of sources to break it all down.
Okay.
Company announcements, financial statements, a letter to their shareholders, and even their investor presentation.
Oh wow. So we've got the whole picture here.
Yeah, it's like putting together a puzzle, right? We're taking all these pieces and trying to figure out, well, how are they really doing? What's their strategy? And of course, what does it all mean for investors, people watching the company?
Yeah. Exactly. Trying to see, are they on the right track?
Exactly.
And is it a good investment?
Okay, so first things first, how did they actually do this quarter? Let's just get that out of the way.
Well, their revenue from operations, it hit 11,109.21 lakhs.
Okay.
Now, we don't have the exact analyst expectations in front of us, but just kind of looking at the industry trends, this is suggesting some pretty good growth.
Yeah, that's a pretty healthy number.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely healthy.
Okay, but what really caught my eye is their international moves.
Oh yeah.
They're really making a push, right?
Yeah, they're expanding.
I think their investor presentation mentioned something about Guatemala.
Yes, you're right. They've just invested $4 million into their U.S. subsidiary, Pakka Inc.
Okay.
And that subsidiary just acquired a 100% stake in Pakka Guatemala.
Oh, wow. So they're really going all in on this.
Yes, so that actually makes Pakka Guatemala a step-down subsidiary of Pakka Ltd.
Okay, so they're putting some serious money down here. But why Guatemala?
Well, a lot of companies, they're thinking about nearshoring right now.
Yeah.
So by setting up shop in Guatemala, they're getting closer to their North American target market, right?
Right, they want to be closer to their customers.
Exactly, and that means lower shipping costs,
Oh, that makes sense.
faster deliveries,
Yeah.
and they're also closer to, the customers to kind of understand what they want.
Right, it's not just about logistics, though, right? I mean, Pakka, they're all about that sustainability angle.
Oh, absolutely, and that's key here.
Yeah,
They're really specializing in this bagasse-based food packaging.
the gas base.
Yeah, that's made from sugarcane pulp, a renewable resource.
Oh, okay, so very eco-friendly.
Yes, very eco-friendly, and producing it closer to those North American customers means they're, really tapping into that consumer base that's very eco-conscious right now.
Right, and I think consumers are really starting to care about that more and more. They want to
Yeah,
see those compostable, those sustainable options.
exactly, and that's really positioning Pakka as a leader in that space.
So strategically, it seems like a pretty smart move.
Yeah, it's a good move.
But, we've got to talk about the financial impact.
Right.
Did their profits actually keep up with all this revenue growth, all this expansion?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Yeah.
So on a standalone basis, Pakka Ltd. Reported a profit of 2,050.97 lakhs for the quarter.
Okay.
And when you include their subsidiaries, that consolidated profit was 1,687.79 lakhs.
Okay.
Now, we don't have the year-ago figures for a direct comparison,
Right.
but I mean those are solid numbers.
Yeah, those are pretty good.
Yeah, but of course every investor wants to know, where's the money going?
Exactly. Yeah, where's it all going? What are they spending it on?
Yeah, did their spending change at all?
Did they make any big shifts?
Yeah, so looking at the financials, there are a couple interesting things. They've definitely ramped up investments in property, plant, and equipment, which, makes sense given their expansion plans.
Right, they're building new facilities,
Yeah.
getting things ready.
We also see fluctuations in working capital, but nothing that's like, setting off alarm bells.
Okay, so they're spending to grow,
Yeah.
which I guess, makes sense when you're trying to expand. But
Right.
what about their cash flow?
Oh,
Isn't that like the lifeblood of any business?
yes, you're absolutely right. That's crucial,
It's especially one that's, looking to grow this much.
especially one that's expanding like this.
Yeah.
So Pakka Ltd.'s cash and cash equivalents, they actually decreased in the first half of FY25.
Oh, really?
Yeah, both on a standalone and consolidated basis.
That seems a little counterintuitive, right?
Yeah, it might seem that way.
Because we were just talking about how much revenue they're bringing in.
Yeah, it's understandable if that sounds a little alarming,
It does, a little bit.
because investors, they get nervous when they see cash reserves shrinking.
Right, it's like, where did it all go?
Exactly. But remember, context is key.
Okay.
Pakka's cash flow dip is likely tied to these strategic investments we were just talking about.
So spending all that money to expand internationally?
Exactly. especially all that spending on property, plant, and equipment.
Okay, so those upfront costs.
Yeah, they can temporarily impact cash flow.
But I guess, the hope is that those investments will pay off.
Exactly. It's like planting seeds. You've got to invest now to reap the benefits later.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Yeah, so this is where it gets interesting. We need to zoom out and look at Pakka Ltd's overall strategy and ask ourselves, are these investments setting them up for success?
Right.
Or are they taking on too much too quickly?
Okay, now you've really got me hooked. Let's get into that strategic vision and figure out if they're on the right path here.
All right, let's do it. One thing that really jumps out is their recent equity and warrant issuance. They managed to raise a good amount of capital,
Okay.
which shows, investors they're buying into their story, they believe in them.
They're putting their money where their mouth is.
Exactly. But the question is, will Pakka be able to actually deliver on those expectations?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? Can they live up to the hype?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Can they make it all work?
So we were just talking about, Pakka's big plans, and
Yeah.
they raised all that capital. They're really trying to grow. But
Yeah.
that big move into North America, into Guatemala specifically,
Right.
it makes me wonder, are they taking on too much risk?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, anytime a company goes into a new market, there are always challenges.
Right. It's not like a sure thing.
No, not at all. They've got to figure out, are there different regulations?
Right. Different laws.
Different cultural things they need to be aware of?
Right. It's a whole different ballgame.
Totally. And they've got new competition to think about.
Yeah. It's not like they're just setting up a little office somewhere.
Right, exactly.
We're going all in with this Guatemala subsidiary. Like, what kind of money are we talking about here?
Well, the sources don't give us all the details on just the Guatemala operation,
Okay.
but we know they've put in about $9.7 million into Pakka Inc. Total, and a big chunk of that is going towards this expansion.
Wow. So that's on top of the 4 million we talked about earlier.
Yep, that's right.
So that's 13.7 million total. That's a big statement.
It is. It's a big commitment. It really shows how confident they are.
Yeah, they're really putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah. But it definitely raises the stakes.
It does.
Investors are going to be watching really carefully to see, can Pakka deal with all the potential problems that come with this, this big expansion?
Right, because there are a lot of things that could go wrong.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So what are some of the red flags that, investors should keep an eye out for?
Well, I mean, one thing is, are there going to be any surprises with regulations? Every country has its own rules, and it can be really tricky to figure those out.
Right, especially when you're new to the market.
Especially when you're new, exactly.
And then there's the whole cultural difference thing.
Oh, right, for sure.
I mean, what works in India might not work in North America at all.
Exactly. They might have to totally change their marketing, figure out, okay, what do North American customers actually want?
Yeah, like what are their tastes?
Yeah, what do they like?
What are they looking for?
Exactly. And then, of course, there's the competition.
Yeah, North America, it's a big market, and it's full of companies that are already doing this stuff.
Right. They're already established. Pakka's got to find a way to stand out,
Right. What makes them different? What makes them special?
Exactly. So it's high risk, high reward.
Yeah. If it works, the payoff is huge.
Huge.
But a lot of things could go wrong.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And that brings us back to their, equity and warrant thing.
Right.
They raised all that money, which is great, but it's like, are they growing too fast?
Yes. Are they getting ahead of themselves?
Yeah. So let's look at their financials and see if they can actually handle all of this. Like, what should investors be paying attention to?
Well, one of the first things I always look at is assets, like their property, plant, and equipment, all that stuff.
Right. The physical stuff they own.
Exactly. So as of September 30th, 2024, their balance sheet shows a value of 21,059.15 lakhs for that.
Okay.
Which is up from 19,816.88 lakhs at the end of March.
So it's a pretty big jump.
Yeah, it's a significant increase. And it makes sense considering all the expansion stuff they're doing.
Right. They're buying new equipment.
Yeah, they're investing in their manufacturing.
Okay, but expansion usually means taking on more debt, right?
Yeah, you're right. Their borrowings have increased.
Okay, so is that a bad thing?
Well, not necessarily. It's pretty common for companies to use debt to help them grow.
Right. Like a loan.
Exactly. The important thing is that they don't have too much debt.
Okay, so are they over-leveraging themselves, or are they keeping it under control?
Well, from what I see in their financials, their debt-to-equity ratio looks pretty reasonable.
Okay.
Which means they're not taking crazy risks. They've got a good balance between debt and equity.
Okay, that's good to hear. But I still keep thinking about their cash flow. We talked about how it's dipped.
Yeah.
How does that play into, the bigger picture of their financial health?
It's definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
A decrease in cash flow can be a warning sign, but it's not always a reason to panic.
Okay.
In Pakka's case, it seems like it's mostly because of their investments.
So they're basically sacrificing cash now
Right.
for potential gains later.
Exactly. It's a gamble,
Uh,
but it could pay off big time if everything goes according to plan.
right. It all depends on how this expansion goes.
Exactly. And it all comes down to one big question.
Mm-hmm.
Can Pakka turn their vision for sustainable packaging into a real business that makes money?
Right. Can they walk the walk?
Exactly. And that brings us to, the heart of Pakka's story.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about numbers and spreadsheets.
Right.
It's about this idea of creating a more sustainable future for the whole packaging industry.
It's a big mission.
It is. Sustainability is like built into their company. It's what makes them different.
But is it just a marketing tactic?
Yeah, that's what we need to figure out. Are they really committed to making a difference?
Right. Like, are they actually doing it, or are they just talking about it?
Exactly. We need to look beyond the numbers. Look at their actions, their partnerships. What kind of impact are they actually having?
Yeah. Are they walking the walk or just talking the talk?
Exactly.
Okay, let's peel back those layers and see what we find.
All right, let's do it.
Pakka's making some bold moves, but are they really leading the charge towards a better future?
Yeah, are they really changing the game, or are they just riding the wave of this growing trend?
So we've been really getting into the nitty-gritty with Pakka Ltd, their financials, their move into North America, this whole sustainability focus.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have, but I still feel like something's missing.
Hmm. I see what you mean. The sources, they give us all the numbers, the facts,
Right.
but there's this, like, bigger story, right? We got kind of read between the lines.
Yeah, it's like we're missing the why behind it all.
Exactly, the motivation.
Okay, so let's put on our detective hats here.
All right.
What clues do we have? What are we actually trying to figure out?
Well, first we got to think about the whole global picture, right?
Right.
The packaging industry, it's changing big time.
Right. Everyone's talking about sustainability.
Exactly. And consumers, they want eco-friendly options. So Pakka, with their Bagessa products, they're right in the sweet spot.
Yeah, they're not just along for the ride. They're trying to, steer the whole thing, right?
Yeah, they want to be in the driver's seat.
But where are they going? What's the final destination?
Well, that's the interesting part, right? They raise all this money, which tells us they're thinking big. They're not just going to grow slowly.
Right. They want to make a splash.
Exactly. And with this push into new markets, it seems like they're aiming to be a major player in the industry.
Okay, so they don't want to be just another company. They want to be, the company.
Yeah, they want to be the leader, the one everyone else is following.
So with all the resources they have, they could really shake things up.
Oh, absolutely. We could see acquisitions, partnerships, maybe even totally new products that we haven't even thought of.
So one move leads to another, and it changes the whole game.
Exactly, a domino effect.
This is what I love about these deep dives.
Me too.
It's not just about crunching numbers. It's about understanding the company, their soul almost.
Yeah, like what drives them? What impact do they want to have?
And in Pakka's case, it seems like they want to make a real difference.
They do. They have a vision for a more sustainable future, and they're willing to put their money where their mouth is.
But anytime you have a big vision, there are going to be bumps in the road.
Oh, for sure. I mean, competition in this space, it's fierce.
Right. Everyone's trying to do the eco-friendly thing now.
Exactly. So Pakka's got to stay ahead of the game. They got to keep innovating.
And going global, that comes with its own set of headaches.
Right. Different countries, different rules, different customers.
So many things to juggle.
Yeah, and let's not forget the money side of things.
Right. They have to be careful.
Even though their debt looks okay now, they can't just keep spending like crazy.
So it's a balancing act, big dreams, but also smart decisions.
Exactly. They got to be ambitious, but also grounded.
Okay, well, I think we've really looked at Pakka from all angles here.
Yeah, we've explored a lot.
Their numbers, their strategy, their sustainability mission, how the whole industry is changing.
And it's clear, they're not standing still. They want to make a mark.
Yeah, they want to leave their footprint.
We've uncovered a story of growth, big ambitions, and a real commitment to a more sustainable world.
But like you said, it all comes down to execution.
Yeah, can they actually pull it off? Can they adapt and navigate all the challenges?
So the question for all of us, for investors, for anyone watching this company is, will they achieve their goals and really disrupt the packaging industry? Or will they fall short?
That's the big question.
That's what we'll have to wait and see.
Exactly. Keep your eyes on Pakka Ltd. because their journey, it's just getting started.
And who knows, the whole future of sustainable packaging. It might depend on what they do next.
It very well might.
All right, that's going to wrap up our deep dive on Pakka Ltd. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for having me.